blockchain technology has taken the world by storm, and a lot of research has been done, and a lot has been done, of course, in Uganda as well to move this kind of technology. Mitro Plus is a company that has specialized in training young people, in giving skills, mentoring into people into investing in crypto, but as well as the wider picture of blockchain technology and how it can be incorporated in the African society. Mr. Daniel Mulondo, a team leader from the Mitro Plus Labs. Yes, it's a laboratory, and he's about to tell us a little bit of why they call it a laboratory. But he is a specialist in the blockchain. He has training in ICT. He has a company which he actually takes over besides Mitro Plus, and a couple of other very interesting facts that you are about to find out. Mr. Daniel, you're very, very welcome to the show.
Well, pleasure meeting you, my brother. Good afternoon, good morning from wherever you are. My name is Daniel Mulondo. Pleasure to be here on this table to discuss and demystify the art of blockchain, or what we call the Internet of Value, to the new world system. So pleasure to be here with, of course, Gloria. I look forward in this discussion to disseminate what it is and also how relevant is it in our lives as Africans, as Ugandans, and how are we able to participate in these global trades.
You're a member of the Blockchain Association of Uganda. You're also founding member of the Digital Assets Traders Association. You have a company named Nile 1A Group. You're everywhere. How do you? Where is your passion? How did you find so much passion in things concerning blockchain?
Actually, interestingly, my brother, sometimes when you're a young person and you're growing up, there are things that usually take your time. So in my setting, I loved computers. And I remember when I was still young, my dad bought me a Pentium, by then it was Pentium 2, a very big tower, and I don't know whether you saw those desktops.
I don't think I saw. Maybe Gloria.
Maybe Gloria.
Not really.
So back then, you know, I was a superstar in our village. I could process words, documents, and you know, it was not easy. You are the senior. Someone has to type something, maybe to send to a son in London, so they give you a computer, you type.
Daniel is the expert.
So, yeah, Daniel is the expert. Sometimes they take pictures, and now they want to transform them from the hard copies to the soft copies. You scan them, you integrate them. So from there, I developed my love for technologies. And I think it was one or the other that my dad left to me, because it really shaped me even where I was pursuing my career at the university. I went for ICT. And then while at the university, when we completed, of course, we talked about cryptography, but again, at a stage where we couldn't understand what was cryptography. Those who have studied ICT, they know there are those courses where you go for an encryption, cryptography, digitization, among others. So when I learned about blockchain, or I don't want to take a lot of time, but for fast forward, 2015, that's when I first heard about blockchain. I remember we had worked on a particular project in ICT with a few friends. It was the impact assessment of importation of used computers and electronics in Uganda. So from there, I decided to learn a lot on internet when we were drafting a few things. So I came across blockchain, Bitcoin, not even blockchain. But back then, information was very scarce, very, very, very scarce, in a way that information. Even Bitcoin was on floppy drives. We could read about someone who offered a Bitcoin I mean, he offered Bitcoins for a pizza, something of that nature. Things to do with someone who lost money on dark web, or a country, so on. I mean, a particular group is buying guns or something through firearms through dark web, and they're using Bitcoin. So I said, now which is this thing? I need to understand it better. That's how we developed the passion. Of course, when you're learning how to swim, you swallow some water. You don't just read books how to swim. No, you've got to dive, take some water. Of course, through that you master the skill, slow but sure. So we entered into the Bitcoin space, but again, it lured us to learn more. What is the intrinsic value? What is the underlying technology that Bitcoin was running on? So we later on found out that it was blockchain. And to bring it further, blockchain is just computers, blocks and chains, computers interlocked. Someone shouldn't fascinate you with words that are scientific. These are just interlocking computers.
Exactly, and that's where we are.
And they're communicating together.
Yes, we want to demystify this blockchain. But tell us also a little bit about Mitro Plus Labs, and what are some of your objectives? Why Mitro Plus Labs, and what are you doing in Uganda, for example?
Okay. Mitro Plus Labs, it's a company. But initially, it was supposed to be a foundation, because you know what we've gone through, my brother. I don't want to give you what we have gone through. We've lost a lot, but also we've gained a lot in terms of knowledge, capacity building, at the same time financially. So through that, we said our vision bearer, Festo, he decided if at all people can be successful on internet, but there are many people have also who have lost money, can we come up with a program where we can help the young people also achieve? Usually when they say that where there is smoke, there's always fire. So however much there's a lot of negativity, the stigma, the stereotype, when you talk about Bitcoin or blockchain, the first thing they will do, they'll hide their money. You've come to steal them from them.
You've come to scam us.
You're a scammer. Yeah. When you're successful, the regulators will see you as this is a fraudster, this is a money launderer. He can hack into a bank and they remove all the money. So that's what they see.
So you're always in the bad books.
So I came up with a plan that it's an idea that was hatched for about 3 years. How do we come up with a program, a center of information that allows many young Africans, not even Uganda alone, but many young Africans.
The founder is Ugandan?
Yeah, he's a Ugandan.
Oh, wow.
The co-founder is
a springboard from Uganda to the rest of the world.
Yeah, this time round we are giving birth to innovations from Uganda and exporting them to the rest of Africans and Europe, Asia. So he decided to come up with a plan. He came to me and he said, Daniel, there is this plan. We look forward to equip at least in the next 2 years 1 million people with these soft skills, because it is tested and proven internet could be one of the solutions where we are going. And you and I know that the first 100 companies globally, they're not in food industry. They're not in medical industry. However much these are all critical spheres of life, health and medical. But why technology? How come that Meta has a usability of more than 1 billion people? With all their applications like WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, and the recent one is what? Thread.
Yes, Threads.
Threads.
And Twitter now is going to be X something.
I was arguing with someone and I gave him an example that Uganda got independence in 1965, right?
62.
62, sorry. But since then up to now, we are approximately to 45 million Ugandans, isn't it? But look at a platform like Threads. In a space of not even a month, they have a netizens, we call them netizens, 100 million people. Imagine, just a month. So it means technology, it is an enabler for efficiency, communication, and also how we live in life. So he came up with a program, he invited me. However much I have a record also as a person. I am the team lead of Nile One. We've been in education for so many years.
Still along the same lines?
Along the same lines of blockchain, metaverse, artificial intelligence.
Now, you're about to, first of all, break down for our viewers some of these terms. I like the fact that you mentioned blockchain, a connection of computers in a network to do things.
Do things, yes.
So how does this relate to real life? Because sometimes people lose the touch in the terms like metaverse, blockchain, and we keep on, keeping them in the dark because people don't relate sometimes with some of these terms. So could you
relate to blockchain?
Yes.
On day-to-day life?
Yes.
Well, we are three here. For example, if we reach a consensus. No, let me give a clear, very example of lands department. We have a land tenure system in Uganda here, where you find out that here at Smart TV, the land title is in 3 names of different proprietors. And everyone is saying that they have to go to court to prove that look, I am the owner of this land. But on blockchain, if at all the lands department has embraced blockchain, it's very easy to trace. There is no fraud on blockchain. You cannot fraud anyone on blockchain.
How so?
Huh?
How so?
Because what the perspective is, at least I'm speaking for the viewers, at least for my sake, they think this is some sort of complex interconnection of computers that could easily be manipulated by individuals with personal, motives to gain from the public, like we have in the history of at least Uganda's case, Ponzi schemes. I'll just give the recent one, BLQ.
Yes.
You definitely heard of that. Something comes up, people collect money, they invest, probably they gain for the first 3-4 days, and then the next day it has disappeared. The fear of most Ugandans is that blockchain could be entangled in some of these, different cases of fraud.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. But to bring it closer to you and also to our viewers who are watching us right now, brothers and sisters, get a difference between blockchain and also, let's say, finance. Well, finance, it's one of the application or success stories on blockchain. But blockchain, it is an underlying technology. It's an infrastructure, the way you see internet. Well, however much you want to understand the internet protocol, or the HTTP servers. But let me to bring it home. As time goes on, as we are going, time is going to come to a level that blockchain is not a buzzword. We don't speak it in public. It will be like internet. When you're on internet, what are you looking for? You want to access your emails. You want to access your WhatsApp for communication. You want to transact, let's say, a payment.
I want to buy lunch.
You want to buy lunch.
Yes.
You want to communicate to your loved one. So that's where we're going with blockchain. So blockchain is going to be an underlying technology that can be reflected in finance, where now we have Bitcoin and also those Ponzi schemes. That is one. blockchain is going to reflect in tokenization.
Tokenization.
Let me talk about it, tokenization in a simple way. Tokenization, in simple terms, is another way to raise money or to crowdfund. We have challenges in Africa or in Uganda, for example, young people like me and you. How do we raise capital? One, we studied these things in school. You go to your family, you can get capital through family. You can get capital through...
If you're a planned kid, for example.
Yeah. You can get capital through loans. You can also get capital through what else?
Capital markets.
Capital markets. But now let's narrow it down. A young person, an average young person in Uganda who is below the age of 35 or 30, accessing a loan, it's one of a challenge.
Because you don't have collateral.
You don't have collateral.
No.
You do not have...
Apart from your single room.
Exactly. You've just come from your campus. You don't know how to start life. You don't have enough knowledge in business. But now the bank will tell you that these are the requirements. Yeah. Go, I want surety, we want sureties, we want this, we want this. And in the end, you cannot start a business, however much you have an idea. But now on blockchain, blockchain has reflected one of the easiest ways how young people can raise capital. And we have facts even in Uganda here. People who have used blockchain, tokenized their project, and have raised capital.
So how does tokenization work? You have an idea, you put it up on the internet?
I have this. I can write a white paper. A white paper is your idea.
Is it the Devonshire white paper?
Something
That's the last white paper I heard about.
A white paper is your business plan and your roadmap. We call it a white paper, where you put all the shortcomings, the risks, the opportunities, and the strategies of making money. So you tokenize. Let's say you want to raise 1 million to stock these pens. So I'll tokenize, I'll create...
It's like pitching.
Yes.
You're pitching.
I'll go to blockchain.
Yes.
And I'll show the public that, look, if I raise 1 million Uganda shillings, I can be able to bring these 1,000 pens. And then these 1,000 pens, we are able to distribute it A, B, C, D. And out of 1 million, we can make 10% off. So how do you tokenize? You find platforms like, if you're not an engineer, you can get in touch with the already blockchains that are doing that. Avalanche, Tron, Ethereum. These are all blockchain platforms where you can go, you tokenize your project, you put in your white paper, you issue what we call smart contracts.
It's like when you talk about, for example, stock markets, we have an initial public offer. Tokenization would be like an initial public offer.
Yeah, exactly. It's more of that, but for us we call it now ICOs, initial coin offering. I can issue out tokens, could be coins, and then I let public buy. I let public.
Is that me inventing my own, for example, cryptocurrency? Is it like mining a coin?
You are inventing your own token,
a token
for the project to raise funds. And we have use cases in Uganda here. There are people who have ventured into real estate business. Like a friend of mine, he identified that there's shortage of house accommodation in Uganda here. Every year, so he came up with a token, PIME token, and his first crowdfunding, he raised almost $800,000 US. So he started setting up infrastructures, shelters for people, and investors. We call it patient capital. It's not money that is, how do I call it?
Liquid.
It's not, yes, it's patient, small money.
Yes.
And everyone is an interested party in that infrastructure. Instead of, let's say let me give an example. The Smart 24, let's say it has one proprietor. We can invite public to have a smallest unit of share in this platform or this
So
application.
to say tokenizing.
So tokenizing is one of the use cases on blockchain where Ugandans, not even Ugandans alone, but even the public sector, they can get rid of these exorbitant loans. You don't know how much, you don't know how we are indebted in Uganda.
86 trillion.
86 trillion, imagine that kind of money. If at all the government of Uganda, through its agencies, they get in touch with the blockchain experts, it's one idea where they can tokenize all the infrastructures, even the transport sector. You don't need to go for Chinese loans. Sorry to mention that.
Is that another segment? You mentioned finance, tokenization. Is transport another?
Okay. A use case is tokenization on blockchain. It can be applied in real estate, in transport.
Okay.
You know, we want to, let's say, set up a better layery system in Uganda. You don't need to go for a loan. No, get smart people. Let them create a token, invite patient, you raise it. I mean, invite patient capital from people. Your people in Uganda, I'm telling you, my brother, there are many Ugandans with a lot of money at home, seated. But, for example, let me give you an example.
Like Gloria, I mean.
Gloria,
yes. Yes, should be having...
If right now I tokenize, let's say, a train, and I pitched you that in 2025, 2 years from now, if you give me your $100 today, your 360,000 Uganda shillings today, by 2025, that whole year, you're going to move almost at free of cost. I'm going to give you a card where I'm going to load the tokens. Okay. Won't you do that to save transport in future?
I would.
Yes, with some incentives. So there are many people who are able to do that. If at all we get to understand how to use the technology. So I've talked about
finance,
where blockchain can be applied in finance, in tokenization, but also even in health, traceability. Government.
Are we talking about DNA? I hope we are not talking about DNA this time.
No, not DNA.
When you talk about health and then traceability, I know the minds of many fathers are going to what is current.
Not DNA.
Okay.
Please, fathers, don't come to us. We don't have that solution now. But traceability, what I'm talking about, a case in point, you don't know how much government loses every single year. Money that goes through that, no, corruption.
Money laundering.
No, corruption itself. Things to do with the government has given medicine to people in, let's say, Western region but they can't trace it. They cannot know whether this...
It disappeared somewhere in the middle, but they don't know. They don't know who disappeared.
They dispatched, let's say, for northern Uganda, tons of this much. They're not able to trace it. What do they do right now? They have to set up the anti-corruption units. So, but still, you don't know.
Creating more corrupt. Okay.
But this time around with blockchain, it's a system. These are public ledgers. It's a program. You cannot change anything the way how it has been planted. That's why many agencies they fight it, because they know if at all this infrastructure is put in place globally,
where to eat from.
Globally, the areas where money can be leaking,
they're going to be fixed. What's the fourth one before we go to the break?
Okay, the fourth one.
You talked about finance, tokenization,
identity. Are you aware that we in Africa we don't have addresses? Okay, addresses are there, but you can't know that Gloria, to be honest.
You mean door-to-door addresses?
Yes.
Especially for Gloria, yes. I can imagine. Yes. When she's directing me to her place, there's a lot of under the tree, then you find boda men, ask them where.
And with that nature of business in Africa, that's why we don't access a lot of services. If you go to Ubos and you ask them, how many Ugandans do we have as of now? As of, let's say now. Ugandans who are below the age of this, or Ugandans who are able to earn this, or Ugandans in this category, or Ugandans who are sick of this.
There's no data.
There's no a system where you can find that real-time system. But do you know what we lose? We lose a lot of resources alongside that. You don't know how many certified developers, you don't know how many certified accountants, so something of that nature. But these are things that we can venture into. And
Maybe Mr. Molondo, before we go into the break, tell us about this book. You have a book here. With
okay.
which you came with.
I've really talked a lot
We need, yes.
on blockchain, and time is going on.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you, before even this book, blockchain has come to stay. That is number one. Whether you embrace it today or tomorrow, it is there to stay. By default, it is going to affect your lives. The way how you see internet is affecting our lives with or without our consent. So